All right, this is another one of my brain dumps. I did one the other day, kicking off my Rebuilding Out Loud series, where I guess I'm gonna walk through, I think, my thinking process of how I navigate figuring things out. And it's something it's as much as I try to templatize and scale without being involved, it's so much of this is being able to see, being able to see somebody do it. And gosh, as a recovering perfectionist, showing up before everything is perfectly polished and just this is not easy for me. I've had to do an immense amount of work to get to this point, but I am doing this because I also know as a version of me 3 years ago would have loved to see somebody else be a little bit more honest about the rebuilding process before it is perfect, before they have the proof of $1 million a month in their bank. It's the thinkings and the trials. And if there's anything I can share that will lessen that for anybody else going down this path, which I do anticipate being a thing for so many of us with the shifts in how we work and also with generative AI being in the mix. Yeah, it was a very disorienting time and just being able to name it and label things, I'm hoping it will normalize things for others and hopefully feeling less alone. Anyways, this is what happens. I do these brain dumps and then I download it. I do it on Google Meets and it's already connected to NotebookLM. But what I'll do is upload it and then it does a couple things actually. It is so cool. You can create your slides, like PowerPoint slides, directly in there simply by uploading it and just pressing generate slides. Look at that. Do I need to sit here and memorize a script when I put myself out there? No, I literally just sat there and talked about it. This is my voice and I don't need to do anything else. So, this is my process of preparing for things. It also creates amazing infographics or being, oh, look at this. This might I wish is there a way I can edit there's too it's too bad that I can't go in here and fix each of these texts to edit the text in here, but that's one. Let me see the identity blueprint. There we go. Yep. When I was talking about Paris Hilton's profile, I mentioned the sub GPTs, her CEO, her investor version, based on this full transcript and the way that I ask for it, it'll create these infographics. Cool, huh? Okay. And then next, what I'll do is I'm now organizing everything I had created in the last 3 years and pinpointing a starting point of sharing. And I believe, I think the most natural starting point is when I first discovered ChatGPT. It really was a moment where was very, gosh, realizing that the systems I thought were broken were not broken at all. They're actually working perfectly together to keep people where they are and never allow them to. I don't want to go down this path right now. I can go down a path. Okay. Anyways, if you don't fit into systems or boxes, I think what's really cool is that you can build something that fits you. And before I jump into my first walkthrough, let me just show you what happens to these sessions where I know I jump around a lot. It's the way that I think is it just comes to me all at once. And if I don't sit down and just get it out of me where I speak it into a recording or share it with somebody, I lose it. So I get really excited when I have these moments where I want to record myself and share my thoughts because they turn into something that externalizes my thinking and helps me process information much faster. And it's been really powerful for me in working through identifying some of my subconscious patterns of self sabotage. I use Descript. I will include the link in the description below, but let me pull it up. It is an incredibly powerful tool. The way that you use it, they have a little chat widget in itself too. It's the way that you interact with it is you have to imagine it as like your creative video team in terms of your asks. You have to be able to articulate your needs. So I think it's where the adoption part for something like this is tricky is teaching people how to structure those asks. I have every single one of my recordings that I have done since August 2024 in here. I have quite a history. So if I wanted to design a AI 24/7 chatbot that mirrors the way that I speak, I have a lot of data to work with here. So yeah, I bring the full video into Descript. I clean it up, I edit whatever. I'm trying my best not to overly polish things because I want things to sound natural. And so also I can track my growth. It's amazing to see some of my older LinkedIn events. By the way, if you guys hold LinkedIn events, the video is there forever. So you can't take that down even after a year later. I learned that the hard way. So I'll just need to add more to push those old ones down where I'm literally just dying out loud. But okay, where do we go here? And the other one is I use NotebookLM. And this is probably one of my favorite uses. I take the full transcript, I upload it. I did two brain dumps this day. So I uploaded it. It got truncated. And then any questions I have around it, just ask in here. And then in the studio space, it allows you to build out slide decks, mind maps that you can use in recordings like this. One thing I don't like is that you can't edit the text within here once it's in here, but it maps everything out. This is from the brain dump I did yesterday. I mean, this becomes essentially two or three different logical, shorter videos instead of this full thing. So that's one thing it does. Another thing it does is infographics, and they're so clean. And I am a visual learner, and to be able to externalize my thinking, have it organized and visually displayed in a way where it's aesthetic, number one, where I can use it in future talks or reference these as I do these recordings, because I'm really trying my best to keep things simple. I think the way that I'm using because of GPTs in the way that I view digital products, I don't have to do this production. So it'll make videos. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. This one brain dump I did yesterday turned into this. Pretty crazy, huh? This is the old interface. When I did it yesterday, it gave me the output in the older interface, but wow, I was so impressed by this. That is beautiful. Here we go. The case study, the Paris Hilton protocol. Neat. And I can download these. I can use each of these slides. But with my challenge and my future trainings coming up, it's ready to go. I don't need to do any kind of preparation. And I also don't need to memorize a script. I look at it and I already know what to say because they're my words. So this is how I prepare for things, how one task that I do, which is brain dumping, becomes something else. It becomes slides for future presentations, the transcripts I reuse to the one full video becomes multiple pieces of content that I get to repurpose across multiple different platforms. What else is there? Infographics. And another cool thing I can do, I might as well do this right now, is self reflection. All right. All right. I am going to do some self reflection by me through the process. First, let's start with things I may be missing about myself. My gosh. The number three, it's already operating as a permission structure for others. This is something that I struggle with. I love to hide behind making pretty things and focusing on branding and not just putting myself out there as I am. And that is my biggest pivot this year, where I'm no longer waiting until everything is perfect. And if anything, what I'm going to be doing going forward is I have a lot of things to do. I have very clear sense of what needs to be done, who my audiences are on LinkedIn and on Instagram personally. What I am letting go, I am going to have a Substack as well. In the next few months, I'm not going to rush rebuilding things. Rather, I'm going to start recording the process and inviting others to be able to follow along and do things at their end through my collection of resources and tools, and also hold a few challenges. Alrighty, let's see. So yeah, so that's how I use. So that's kind of how I use. That's how I repurpose a single recording. These one of these mind ups where I seem probably incredibly ADD and I'm jumping all over the place, but I'm using AI technology to identify parts of these recordings that I can reuse, whether it is best for any of my platforms. And also the transcription I'm using to do self reflection on things I might be missing of myself, because I tend to be very hard on myself. So it's identifying growth, even though it is slow, and repurposing it to build out these really awesome, super duper awesome slides just simply by uploading a transcript and then pressing a button to turn them into slides, which means as I am now cleaning up my own digital presence, and I am not going to be hiding anything. I want other people to see that and know that it is okay to start over in your 40s and it is okay to want more. And it's whether you are looking to make a change now or in 3 years. It's at least start thinking in this direction, because this is often the hardest part. The challenge, it's if you've never had access to feelings for like forever, it takes a lot of work, and the work can be incredibly uncomfortable if you are not prepared for it and not properly supported. Really, I do want to normalize disruptions in life. I want to be able to normalize change, being in the in between space. And yeah, I want this as evergreen content for my kids one day, because life just looks like that. And that's just how it goes. And I think learning how to pick yourself up and adapt and figure things out is a critical skill to have. And GPT tools like this can really help you develop some of those skills. Those really resiliency, and it's a process. You have to want it and no one can force it. And one of those things where when you model it, the adoption is so much higher. No, my mission here, it's like I want to normalize digital entrepreneurship that talks about it. And just the way that we make income today, it was definitely needs more talk, and it needs to be done where it's more actionable and relatable to people that are like me. So that's my massive pivot. I'm just listening to K-pop from the 90s. Okay. So I am going to take a minute to talk about Rachel Lee. She is the creator of this entire beautiful playbook that I continue to reference. I'm going to be using this as like a starting point to of the design inspirations you're going to see carried over into a lot of the things I do. But there she is. I met her on LinkedIn through a networking partner, Brandon Drake, and we've been on this parallel path of healing. It's been really cool to be able to be each other's clients, be able to collaborate, and also develop this kind of friendship over the year where there's a lot of mutual respect for our work. It is guiding somebody like hands on through the process of extracting who they are into a visual identity. It is a process that she has it down where it's smooth. And I highly recommend anybody who is needing human support to do something like this. I highly recommend Rachel and her team at Neogenesis. I waited a year to build out my playbook because I was still very deeply in the journey. And I'm finally getting around to playing around with it. I've explored different look and feels for a website and like Linktree alternatives for myself because God forbid I have one that looks like everybody else. I play with it in Lovable and you know what? Let me just pull it up right now. I mean, essentially, I have it down where it's ready to go, but it's really cool to see variations of what she has for me, the colors I keep using. Let me get the website for this part. So this was her inspiration. I think this is probably the closest one to it, but I really like this one. So really what I need to do. It's cool. Okay, that scroll is way too abrupt. I don't like that. Okay, I'll fix that. Let me see. But hover. Okay, at least it fixed. Okay. But I don't like the copy for it quite yet. However, I like the way that it moves. So this is going to be like my little link tree. I'll bring in that logo and bring it in here when I'm ready. And I'm going to also do a little chat widget that acts as my just general 24/7 agent when I'm writing, but I'm not rushing it. But that's one. And this is another one I really like. But I have a problem when I get into doing this kind of stuff. I end up building too much. So I am just going to keep things simple.